It was a freezing New Year's Eve, and snow covered the streets of the small town. People hurried past, bundled in warm coats and scarves, their hands full of gifts and treats for the festive night. But one little girl stood out in the cold, her tiny frame shivering in the biting wind. Her name was Ellie, and she carried a small bundle of matches in her apron. She was barefoot because she had lost her shoes in the snow earlier that day. Ellie had been trying to sell matches all evening, but no one stopped to buy them. Matches! Warm matches to light your home, she called softly. But the people were too busy to notice her, hungry and cold. Ellie found a quiet corner between two buildings and sat down. She hugged her knees close to her chest, trying to keep warm. But the cold seemed to seep into her very bones. I'll light one match, just one, to feel a little warmth. She struck the match, and suddenly, it was as if she were sitting by a roaring fire. The flames danced, and she felt her hands and feet grow warm. She closed her eyes, imagining herself in a cozy room with a big fireplace. But just as quickly as the match had burned, it went out, and Ellie was back in the cold. She lit another match. This time, she saw a table filled with delicious food, roast chicken, warm bread, and a cake with icing as white as the snow. Her stomach rumbled, and she reached out to take a bite. But the match burned out before she could taste anything. Ellie lit a third match. This time, she saw a beautiful Christmas tree, sparkling with candles and ornaments. It was the most magical tree she had ever seen. She reached out her hand to touch the star on top, but the match went out, and the tree disappeared. Ellie felt tears sting her eyes. She struck another match, and this time, she saw her grandmother, her kind, loving grandmother who had passed away years ago. Her grandmother looked so real, so warm, and she smiled at Ellie with open arms. "Grandma?" Ellie cried, lighting match after match to keep her grandmother near. Her grandmother took her hand and said softly,
"Come with me, my dear. You'll never be cold or hungry again."
Ellie smiled and closed her eyes as a feeling of peace washed over her. In the morning, the townspeople found her sitting peacefully against the wall, her bundle of matches by her side. But Ellie wasn't cold anymore. She was safe and warm, surrounded by love, in a place where no one goes hungry or feels lonely. The story of the little match girl teaches us about kindness and compassion. Let's remember to help those in need, especially during the holidays. Sometimes, even the smallest gesture can make a big difference in someone's life.